Hello, everyone. This is Adam Tubero with PsychedelicInvest.com. I hope you guys are all having an amazing start to your week. In today's episode, it's going to be a bullish versus bearish earnings report reaction to Compass Pathways. This is going to be a fun one to go over. Nothing that significant has changed since the last one, but there is going to be some little bits of information that we will be able to pick up from this one that wasn't really shared in the last earnings report. So stay tuned for that. It should be an enlightening video. Also, for this month, I'm going to be releasing a bunch of bullish versus bearish earnings report reactions, assessments, analysis for all the companies that are obviously releasing their earnings reports. In the past, I have had no bearish reactions yet, but I think things are going to start changing because the sector is starting to mature a little bit, and we're going to be able to start to piece out kind of where we can start to take more of a bearish stance on some companies because of how things might have been unfolding. But remember this. If I give a company a bullish stamp of approval, that's never permanent, and so is a bearish one. If I say they're bearish, it's always subject to change in the next earnings report or with any catalyst that comes out. Who knows? So it's just for that time frame of the earnings report, I'll have my bearish or bullish stance, and then it's always subject to change. So please do not get too upset at me when I start to take more bearish stances. I am only doing this because I want to keep things real with you guys. My goal is not to just pump psychedelic stocks incessantly. My goal is to basically assess them and then tell you guys how I really feel about these companies. And if I happen to feel bearish or bullish about a company, I want you guys to know that I'm going to be completely honest about it every time. So with that said, let's get into this video. All right, fam. I'm going to start off by reading off the business highlights, and yeah, let's get going. So, Compass expands leadership. Kabir Nath appointed as Chief Executive Officer. I love this hire. It was great. George Goldsmith remains Compass Executive Chairman until the 31st of December 2022 to facilitate the transition and will remain as active chairman after that. Cool. It's pretty standard. I'm not going to be going in depth on any of the hiring, so let's keep going. COMP360, psilocybin therapy and treatment-resistant depression, end of phase 2 meeting held with the FDA in April of 2022. Phase 3 protocols have been submitted to the FDA and are under review. This is great. Design of the phase 3 program to be shared at a virtual investor day planned for on 12th of October. So my feeling is on the investor day on October 12th, we're going to get some pretty significant news from Compass. It seems like typically companies aren't going to drop any crazy news within their earnings report. It's either going to be on the investor call or whatever at some point later. But I do think that Compass has some significant news that they want to drop on Investor Day. So I am eagerly anticipating that. The event will also cover commercial strategy, digital tools, pipeline, including KOL perspectives. So phenomenal. Love to see this. Phase 3 TRD program expected to commence in the fourth quarter 2022. So 2 quarters from now. All right, now we have additional COMP360 development activities. So for those of you unfamiliar, COMP360 is Compass's formulation of psilocybin. So just in case you guys don't know, most of you most likely know this. So phase 2 study in anorexia nervosa launched across 4 world-leading research institutes in the UK and US. So when they first mentioned this, I think it was a month ago when I covered this, but I love the fact that they're using COMP360 and for anorexia. I think they're going to be able to show efficacy. I'm sure some of you in the psychonaut community and the psychedelic community might have these as well, but I know people who have personally been able to kind of break out of the anorexic cycle using macro doses of psychedelics. So it's really interesting. I know that it's helped people that I am close to. I know it's helped people within the psychedelic community. So this is just going to be really interesting to follow. I'm very optimistic about this. Positive early signals from an exploratory open-label investigator-initiated study in anorexia presented in May. Okay, cool. Phase 2 trial in post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, expanded to include Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City with internationally recognized PTSD expert Dr. Rachel Yehuda as principal investigator, in addition to King's College London. So I think that's pretty significant to bring the phase 2 trial, or to expand it to Mount Sinai in New York City. So I like that. I'm actually from New York, so it's interesting that they're bringing things now to New York. But I don't think it's going to change much, but I think that's just a cool thing. Let's see what else we got here. Investigator-led study in adults with autism spectrum disorder, ASD, launched. The first ever mechanistic study of psilocybin in autistic adults, co-sponsored by the Institute of Psychiatry, Psychology, and Neuroscience. So I had spoken about autism and psychedelics to you guys before. I'll reiterate this. I was diagnosed as being on the spectrum. I am very functional, but I am on the spectrum. I also have severe ADHD. In terms of treating both, psychedelics were ways better than anything else I ever tried. So there was no pharmaceutical that ever helped. Adderall, Ritalin, I never liked that for my ADHD. Psychedelics were the only thing to significantly impact my life. And we'll talk specifically for the autism. I don't know how it would work out for people who are more severely autistic, I guess, but I can only speak from my own perspective. Psychedelics were one of the best things to ever happen to me. So I like that I love the indication that Compass is throwing out here in terms of doing it for autism. So it's going to be Comp 360 for autism. Cautiously optimistic about this one. We'll see how it works out. And I also have a lot of I know a lot of people who are also on the spectrum who love psychedelics too. I have a lot, like I met a lot of my friends throughout the psychedelic community and whatnot. And it's so fun, like over the course of talking to each other, many times some of us would talk and we found out some of them were ADHD and that's what they were using for. We found out some of them were also on the spectrum as well. And that's what they were microdosing to help with that stuff. So I just think, it's like people are out there using psychedelics for this. We'll see how things go, but I'm very cautiously optimistic here. All right, so I'm going to skip over 10 granted patents issued, composition, formulation, all right, whatever. They always talk about this. Congratulations, you have patents, Compass. Amazing. Well, it's good that they're protecting their intellectual property. Investigator-initiated studies are underway across numerous additional indications. So when I did a deep dive on Compass's pipeline, I started breaking down the indications and whatnot. So I'll tell you guys for this video, and this is how I'm going to do things moving forward with this series, is my bullish versus bearish. Was my nose whistling? I swear to God, I heard my nose whistling. If you guys hear whistling in the video, I'm sorry. I don't know if it was my nose, but my apologies. Sorry for the distraction. Basically, the way I'm going to be doing these videos is my bullish versus bearish is going to be a general reaction and assessment of the earnings report. I will have separate series of videos where I do some comprehensive deep dives of the pipelines of all these companies. So like doing deep dives on the pipelines, that's my favorite thing to do. And it usually takes a lot of time to do it. So I decided to just separate them from the bullish versus bearish videos and just create a whole new series that's just dedicated to basically really deep diving pipelines, comparing different pipelines from companies against each other and whatnot. So I'm excited to do that. It's going to be really interesting. But I just want to give you the heads up. We're not going to be getting any type of deep dive into pipeline in this video. But anyway, to continue. So they have numerous other indications that they're throwing Comps 360 at, which is lovely. They identification of a new potential novel drug candidate through the Compass Discovery Center. That is great. Keep discovering those drugs, guys. Strategic partnership formed in March 2022 to launch the Center for Mental Health Research and Innovation. So they're doing this to accelerate research and develop new models of mental health care. This is great. The whole field is going to need this, so I'm happy that Compass is putting time into this. All right, let's get on to the financial highlights. All right, and now we got the financial highlights. So let's get to it. Spoiler, guys, their financials are going to be great. I mean, everyone who's watching these videos in general knows that Compass has a pretty significant cash position. So let's break it down, but there's nothing to be worried about here. Net loss for the 3 months ended June 30th, 2022 was $21 million compared to $17.5 million during the same period in 2021. So it's a slight increase, no red flag. It's fine. But we have 21 million burn per quarter. Now, with a cash on hand of about $207.2 million as of June 30th, 2022, they have more than 2 years of a runway here. And they also have their formulation of psilocybin in a phase 3 now. So Compass is looking pretty damn good right now, I have to say. They are looking very, very good. Financials are great. The phase 3, obviously, now they're looking at a comp 360 for other indications. If you've been checking the stock price, the stock price for Compass, the charts have been looking pretty wonderful as well. So, well, what I will say is this is Compass gets a very, very bullish stamp of approval for this earnings report. There was nothing really new here. There was nothing really new here to go over, but everything looks great. Compass is chugging along. And wait, they did mention some things in the investor call that I will get into at the end of the video. But just to say that everything looks great so far. Compass gets overwhelmingly bullish earnings report reaction, and yeah, we'll see how things go. I'm really anticipating, depending on the macroeconomic conditions, Compass is going to keep showing strength leading into that investor day thing that I covered at the top here. Where was that? Okay, yeah, so virtual investor day planned for October 12th. So I'm thinking they're going to drop some pretty interesting news on October 12th. This is just a hunch. I'm just speculating here. But I feel like we're going to see some strength from Compass leading into this as well. Maybe excitement and hype building up. Who knows? But that's what I'm seeing. And yeah, we'll have to see. We'll be following Compass, and we'll see how things go until then. And if maybe there's any catalyst or they make any announcement even before that, I don't think they will. I think they're going to save it for Investor Day. But that was a phenomenal earnings report. And yes, once again, Compass gets a very bullish stamp of approval for this earnings report. And I'm very excited to see how the phase 3 is going to go for them. And it's the implications of this phase 3 will have a ripple effect throughout the entire psychedelic sector. Everyone should be following this very closely, and it's going to affect stocks that you are invested in depending on how this goes. All right, and just to add some stuff from the investor call, as I feel like this stuff is always you always get better information. You always get some nice nuggets of gold from the investor call, and I think it's important for you guys. So I'm gonna just read some of the stuff that off the investor call that I think is pretty significant to talk about. So, firstly, they're looking for merger opportunities and to move beyond psilocybin. So this is going to be giving the speculators a lot of they're going to be having a lot of fun with this. Who could Compass be talking about? Who can they possibly merge with? Where might they be looking to expand their pipeline or their drug portfolio to? Like, what other compounds would it be? Is it going to be an LSD? Is it going to be DMT? If I had to take a guess, I think DMT for one reason or another. I mean, you guys know, I love it. I think The therapeutic benefits are there. I think it's great. It's a great psychedelic to study in general, as a high safety profile, fast onset, short duration. It's a great psychedelic for a clinic and for therapeutic settings. Anyway, enough with that spiel. But I'm just speculating here. I think we might be hearing that Compass could end up be working on some type of DMT formulation next. Who knows? I could be wrong, but that's my story and I'm sticking to it. All right, next, what do we got? Oh, wait, sorry. Also, yeah, mergers. Who could it be? Could we possibly see Compass and Cybin merger? I don't think that would happen. I think there's I just don't see that happening for some reason. I think there's a little bit too much overlap between the pipeline. Granted, Cybin has the DMT, but I think in regards to the deuterated psilocybin versus Compass's formulation, I don't know if that would be of interest to Compass. But let's think, what other companies, I'll ask you guys, what company do you think Compass would be looking to merge with, if you had to guess any? Leave your answer in the comments and let me know I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. I don't know where I'm at in terms of who I think it would be. Could it be that they end up merging with a tie? Who knows? I think that would be actually pretty kick-ass if that happened. But once, I don't know, and I don't think that would happen, but who knows? Leave your answer in the comments and let me know what you guys think. All right. So from the investor call also, they say, we very heavy use of tech, apps, and web to scale out therapist training. So Compass is really, really putting everything behind getting the therapist trained. And that's a big deal because, number one, you're going to need trained professionals when you're delivering this type of therapy to somebody. So it's very important that they get these trained professionals and get them working and having experience and whatnot. Now, one of the things that when I was assessing kind of like, do you guys know how expensive it is to get certified to train with psychedelics? It's really, really damn expensive. So it's like, I feel like they might be pricing people out in some capacity who would have interest to do this. So I'm hoping maybe one of these companies has a program where they're doing it where they're not charging an arm and a leg to basically get certified to do psychedelic therapy and whatnot. And I'd love to find out if Compass has a specific program where they're training people and how much they're charging for that. But I think that's something that could end up being a hump that we need to get over, because if you want to get as many passionate people trained in psychedelic therapy as possible, or in even working in these clinics, I feel like having an entry point that's not like going to a private college is important. And it needs to be accessible, and it's not accessible yet. So I want to see how this unfolds, but that's one of the things that I'm a little iffy about in regards to, they're going to need to figure out how to bring these price points down for the training. And we'll see what happens. But it's cool that Compass understands that they need to train people to be working with this stuff. So it's good that they're putting themselves behind it. They're putting that momentum behind it. Oh, and here's the big one. They are working on shorter acting psychedelics, novel compounds. But I've been saying this to you guys for a minute now, and I feel like most of you guys are aware of this as well, where we're going to be heading within the psychedelic sector as we start to see companies really dig into the research. So let's say hypothetically after psilocybin gets FDA approval and whatnot, we're going to see these companies looking at shorter acting psychedelics, because at the end of the day, they will save insurance. They will save the person whose insurance is getting billed money, so that you get billed for a shorter clinic visit, for example. It could be better for the clinic itself because they can get more people in and out, and therefore their margins will be higher. I'm just speculating here. I don't run a clinic, so I don't know this. But I think that there's a lot of benefit to getting psychedelic experiences shorter, which is why DMT is amazing. But there is a lot of benefit to getting psychedelics shorter. And we'll see what compounds they end up talking about, because this is just really interesting to me. I have a feeling that the shorter acting psychedelics that Compass might be referring to in that investor call very well could end up being tryptamines in some capacity. But we'll see what happens when they come out and talk about them. All right, guys, that's the video. Compass gets an overwhelming bull. That means they're getting the biggest bull in the stable with the biggest stuff. And this bull is just ready and very bullish. But yeah, they get an overwhelming stamp of approval. I love this earnings report. Compass is leading the way when it comes to psilocybin research. We'll see what happens with their phase 3 trial. I pulled up this chart here because, guys, Compass hit a bottom of $6, if I'm not mistaken, during the whole the market sell-off. Compass is now sitting at $19.64. So food for thought. That was a hell of a reversal. If we end up with another market pullback because of the macroeconomic conditions at play, I would highly recommend you guys be watching Compass like a hawk and trying to scalp those shares. That's what I would do. That is not financial advice, but basically try and scalp those shares because it's very likely leading into the phase 3 readout for Comp 360. The stock price will start appreciating significantly. We'll see what happens. We'll see when that happens. This is the bullish versus bearish episode of Compass Pathways Q2 of 2022 earnings report. I appreciate every one of you guys, each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much for all the support, the kind words. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching the videos. My name is Waxing Eloquence, WAXING ELOQUENCE on Reddit, on Instagram, hell, even on PlayStation. That is literally my alias for a lot of things. Feel free to send me a message. Ask me how I'm doing. Tell me you hate the videos. Tell me you love the videos. Ask me any questions about psychedelics. I'm happy to converse with you guys about anything psychedelic related. And yeah, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Stay tuned. There's going to be an amazing month full of videos for you guys. And yeah, this is Adam signing out. Bye.